Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Protecting Your Identity and Avoiding Scams financial education class. My name is JC Finley. I'm the engagement specialist at Zing Credit Union, and you can contact me directly at jfinley@myzing.com if you have any questions or would like to reach out to schedule financial coaching. So before we dive into protecting your identity, I like to start with what is a credit union. So if you're not familiar with what a credit union is, we provide not-for-profit banking products, loans, and services to our members. Credit unions are owned by their members, so they have a say in how the credit union is led and operated. Every member is an owner, so it's a democratic financial institution where members vote for the volunteer board of directors to have a say in how the credit union is run. The credit union difference is we are for people, not profit. That's one of the biggest things that separates credit unions from banks. A little bit about Zing Credit Union and what we do. Our mission is to educate, deliver, and achieve. We want to have a well financially educated community so that everyone can be reaching their financial goals. As I mentioned, we are a not-for-profit financial institution, and we've been serving the Denver Metro since 1934, so quite a while. This financial education program was launched back in 2005. That includes our live classes like we host every month and also set up with our partners, free one-on-one financial coaching, and lastly, our e-learning courses that are available in both English and Spanish. This is what the e-learning section of our website looks like. Each playlist will cover a variety of topics, including identity protection, family budgeting, building credit, savings, how checking accounts work, credit cards, car loans, and so on. There's no login or download required, and as I mentioned, it is available in both English and Spanish. So, protecting your personal information and being aware of scams and fraud. There are many scams and a lot of fraud related to not only the pandemic and stimulus payments, but also tax refunds, vaccine scams, and many others. Please note that the government and IRS will never call, email, or text you to ask you for your account numbers or personal information. If you're ever concerned, go directly to the irs.gov website if someone's trying to ask for your information. Don't give out your financial information by phone, text, or email. As a financial institution, we will never call you and ask for your account number. If you call into us, we will ask for your account number to verify your account and your identity, but we will never call you asking for your private account information. Report scams and fraud attempts to stopfraudcolorado.gov. This is a great resource if you feel like you have been a victim of a scam or fraud. Check out this website. They may have some practical advice for you or just sharing about other scams that are particularly prevalent in the state of Colorado. You can also find scam prevention tips and common scams at ftc.gov/coronavirus. These will be specifically related to the COVID-19 pandemic. During a crisis like a pandemic, scammers are more active than ever, and they are preying on people. When you experience fraud or identity theft, it becomes a personal crisis. So we're going to look at some examples to watch out for. So number one, don't respond to texts, emails, or calls about checks from the government. The IRS will only reach out to you by physical mail. So if you get something in your mailbox or PO box that is from the IRS, take that seriously. But if you're getting texts or emails claiming to be from the IRS, delete it immediately or report it as spam. Ignore online offers for vaccinations. If you are considering getting a COVID-19 vaccination or booster, check out your local county or Colorado government website to find a vaccination center near you. Be wary of ads for test kits. You shouldn't have to be paying crazy amounts for COVID tests. Hang up on robocalls. Don't ask them to, include you on their do not call list. Sometimes that can lead to even more robocalls. Watch for emails claiming to be from the CDC or WHO. Definitely report those as spam. And then do your homework when it comes to donations. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, we were seeing a lot of charity scams. So basically, these fraudsters would put up what seems like a nice charity to donate to, but once you enter your financial information, they would be draining your account. Avoid fake job ads. So some scammers will actually pay to have their ads or scam websites appear at the top of your job search. Other scammers will pretend to be affiliated with well-known companies or even the government. So always research a potential employer by searching for the employer's name, email address, and phone number. One thing to know is that scams can be very convincing and easy to fall for when we let our guard down. Scammers are professionals and they are constantly improving their tactics and how to legitimize emails, texts, and calls. So the first sign of a scam is going to be a sense of urgency. Oftentimes, these scammers are trying to get you or scare you into revealing your personal or financial information. So oftentimes they will say, someone has hacked your account or someone has your account information. We need you to act immediately. They're trying to get you to take action and scare you. The second red flag is not only for them trying to get you to act immediately, but then right away asking for your personal or banking information. As I said, as a financial institution, we will never call you and ask you for your account number because we already have that information. If a website is secure, it should start with HTTPS. That S represents secure. So if you're on a website and especially going to be entering any personal or financial information, always make sure it has that S in the URL. If it doesn't, I would recommend not inputting your information or saving your information on that website at all. Definitely go to a different site. Requesting a payment for a debt that you're not aware of. Sometimes, these fraudsters will try and scam people into thinking they have collections in their name. If you're ever concerned that you may have a collection, a great place to go check is your credit report. So I recommend going to annualcreditreport.com, and we'll talk more about that resource in a bit. Receiving an email from an address that looks suspicious or you don't recognize requesting you to click on a link or open an attachment. Sometimes when this happens, they are trying to install a malware or virus onto your device. So when you click on that link or open the attachment, that virus downloads onto your device, and then that scammer has access to your device and your information. Be aware of robocall scams. So like I said, hang up, don't press any numbers or ask them to add you to the do not call list. Sometimes if you do press numbers or talk to somebody, it will lead to more robocalls. Consider using a call blocking app or device. You can ask your phone provider if they have a call blocking tool. I personally use Verizon and I know that they have one, and it's been really helpful several times. And then I always block the number, and you can report the call to stopfraudcolorado.gov. Another thing we've seen a lot more of lately in the news is cryptocurrency scams. So if you see a tweet, text, or email that's asking you to pay with Bitcoin, that's a scam. Report any cryptocurrency scams to ftc.gov/complaint. So here's a recent example of a cryptocurrency scam. High-profile Twitter accounts were hacked by scammers asking people to send Bitcoin last July. So these could be organizations, trustworthy government reputation organizations, celebrities, well looked upon people, just these high profile accounts. And many people sent money because they trusted these accounts. They had the blue check mark before you could just buy it. So many people sent money. The scammers stole about $120,000 through at least 300 transactions. These fake tweets were offering $2,000 for every 1,000 sent. So I always say anytime that there's, you're going to have your money doubled or earn free money, that is a huge red flag. Do not send money to someone like that. Student loans. These can be very confusing, and scammers can make big promises. And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Many of these student loan scammers will say that they can get your loans immediately forgiven or completely canceled. If you are having trouble making payments, contact your loan servicer or visit federalstudentaid.gov. You should be able to log in there. We did have the student loan cancellation application was up. So I recommend filling that out if you are eligible for that cancellation. Other signs that it's a scam: a guarantee that you'll make money, false. A promise that you're going to double your money quickly, that's a lie. And then a claim that you're going to get free dollars or Bitcoin, free money, I don't think so. I always tell people if they find free money and it's not a scam to let me know. I will happily partake in getting some free money. But if you see any of these statements here, that should be an automatic red flag that it's a scam. So what can you do to avoid a scam? Number one, block any unwanted calls and text messages. So just taking action to block those unwanted calls can help prevent you getting more calls in the future or having someone or a scammer call back from the same number twice. Number two, don't give your personal or financial information in a response to a request that you did not expect. Legitimate organizations like the credit union will not call, email, or text you to ask for your personal information like social security number, bank account, or credit card numbers. Anytime someone is asking for that information when you don't expect it should be a huge red flag. Resist the pressure to act immediately. So like I said, a lot of times these scammers are going to have a sense of urgency and try and scare you into giving out your information. Legitimate businesses will give you time to make a decision. We are not going to rush you. Anyone who pressures you to pay or give them personal information is definitely a scammer. And then know how scammers tell you to pay. So never pay someone who insists you pay with a gift card or by using a money transfer service. And never deposit a check and send money back to someone. We don't want any check washing or anything like that. So what is identity theft? Because, a scam or fraud is a little bit different than identity theft. Identity theft is when someone steals your personal information. It could be your name, social security number, card number, or other personal identifying stuff. The scammer will then use this personal information without your permission to commit fraud and or other crimes. This can lead to damaged finances, credit history, medical history, and much more. So how does identity theft happen? There are many ways these days. Identity thieves can steal your information from a trash or a business. So I always recommend if you have, credit card offers or anything from the IRS, you always rip it up or shred it before putting it in the trash. They can trick you into revealing your personal information, maybe by impersonating, someone that you know or a reputable organization. Maybe taking your wallet or purse, or if your purse was left on the bus or the tram, someone grabbed it and then now has your information. I always recommend keeping your social security number in a safe and secure spot. Please do not carry your social security number in your wallet. That is not a safe place for it. And then lastly, identity thieves can pretend to offer you a job, loan, or apartment to get your information. So make sure that if you are applying for a job, loan, or apartment, you vet the organization, look up the address of the job, apartment, or financial institution to make sure that they're legitimate. A few identity theft red flags. Once identity thieves have your personal information, they can drain your financial accounts, rack charges on your credit or debit cards, open new utility accounts, obtain tax refunds, and even get medical treatment in your name. An identity thief can also file a tax refund in your name and get your refund. So a few things to look out for here. Mistakes on your accounts. That could be just your financial statements or medical benefits billing. You don't receive regular bills or other mail. Perhaps you have your utility bill that comes to your address every month. If you stop receiving that, reach out to your utility company right away. You see withdrawals from your account that you don't recognize. This is why it's really, really important to look over those debit and credit card transactions. I know it's not super exciting. I don't love doing it either, but it is important to check for any red flags or any transactions you don't recognize. I know for myself, I noticed like a $300 transaction charge on the day I was supposed to pull out my rent one time. So I'm glad I was checking to notice that. Otherwise, it could have gone unnoticed. Calls from debt collectors for debts that aren't yours. This could be, a scam, someone trying to get you to give away your information, or it could mean that someone has been taking out loans in your name and not paying them back. As I mentioned, looking at your credit report will be the best way to see if you have any collections in your name. A notice from the IRS by mail. So when the IRS reaches out to you by physical mail, that is something to take seriously. Lastly, calls or mail about accounts in your minor child's name. And this is kind of sad, but some scammers will actually go for minor children and take their information and get credit and loans and, medical treatments and so on. So if you do start to receive kind of suspicious or weird things coming for your minor child's name, that's definitely a big red flag there. So is someone using your social security number? An identity thief may may steal your social security number to sell it on the dark web, apply for a job, seek a tax refund in your name, or get access to your financial accounts. This year is from identitytheft.gov. We are going to walk through the identitytheft.gov website here in a bit in case you are a victim of identity theft. That's what you need to do. Identity thieves can cause a lot of damage, and it can cost you time, money, and patience to repair. Some examples of misuse could be opening up new credit cards and racking up credit card debt in your name, opening utility accounts and not paying for them, applying for a tax refund in your name, getting new loans and not paying for it, applying for employment in your name, and lastly, getting medical care. The impact on the victim is detrimental. It can lead to denial of new credit and loans. This could be really hard if you're trying to buy a new car, buy a house, and you have identity theft, and then you have these collections and accounts on there that aren't yours. Denial of public benefits and denial of medical care if they've ran up medical debt in your name. Harassment by debt collectors, lawsuits, lots of stress and anxiety, and then time and expenses spent on those recovery steps. So I don't want anyone that's listening to this class today to be a victim of identity theft. So here's a few things to do to reduce your risk and make it a habit. So protecting your personal information. Keep your important papers secure. So whether that's in a safe, in a locked filing cabinet, in a folder that you know where it is. Be careful with your mail. So shred those sensitive documents. If you're getting pre-approval offers for credit cards and such, make sure you rip those up. You don't want to just toss that in the mail for someone to grab, fill it out in your name, and then boom, someone can have a credit card in your name just by going through your trash. Avoid oversharing on social networking sites. With social media nowadays, it's really easy to overshare. So you don't want to be oversharing like, hey, I'm going to be gone on vacation all week. So that way people know that you won't be home. That could lead to them, breaking in, looking for more information and so on. Don't write down your pins and enter them with caution. You don't want to put a sticky note in your wallet that says all of your pins on it, because if you lose your wallet and a hack or a scammer finds it, they now have access to all of your funds and your bank accounts. Be alert to impersonators. So when you're giving away your information, whether it's on the phone or online, do you know who is getting your personal information and why do they need it? Don't click on any links in emails, texts, or social media that you don't recognize or weren't expecting. And then lastly, contact customer service directly. There is this scam out there called number masking, where basically scammers can mask the caller ID on your phone to make it look like it's coming from maybe your bank or a trustworthy organization. A lot of times people just believe that caller ID and they don't think twice about giving away their information. Utility scams. Is your utility company calling saying they're going to shut off your bills, shut off your utilities immediately? Don't fall for it. If you receive a call claiming your utility service is about to be shut off unless you pay right away, hang up the phone without providing any information and contact your utility company directly. Your utilities will have to contact you in writing if you have an overdue balance and before they send you a written notice of service being shut off. This was a common one over the last 6 months or so. So if you have a utility company saying you have to pay right away or they're going to shut things off, don't fall for it and call the utility company directly, whether that's from their website phone number or the number on your bill. Credit reports and statements. So monitor your credit reports for suspicious new accounts or activity. If you're trying to see if there's been any new accounts opened in your name, I highly recommend going to annualcreditreport.com. Here you can pull your credit report once a year. I believe due to the pandemic, you can still pull your credit report once a week, but that may change in the near future. Always read your banking and credit card statements, an explanation of medical benefits. Keep an eye out for any charges you didn't make. Be alert for bills that don't arrive when you expect them. And follow up if you're getting account statements or bills that you didn't expect. Protect your devices. There is so much technology in our hands and our homes nowadays. So use antivirus software, anti-spyware, and a firewall if you can. Always create strong passwords. So try and use, 10 digits, use uppercase, lowercase, special characters, numbers, and don't use the same password for every website. Oftentimes, if a scammer finds out what your password is, or it's been leaked on the dark web, they will try other websites with that password under your email or whatever username was found. Keep your computer's operating system, browser, and security up to date. That can be a huge thing. I know when I didn't update my internet browser, it led to me getting a couple viruses on my personal computer. So make sure that's up to date constantly. Be careful what you send. Like I said, if you're giving out your personal information, who is it going to? How are they going to protect it? And why do they need it? Be wise about Wi-Fi. So one thing to know about public Wi-Fi networks, like let's say at your local coffee shop, treat that as if someone can be looking over your shoulder at everything that you're doing. So you're going to want to be on a private Wi-Fi network if you are entering any personal or financial information. Password protect your computer, your phone, your smartwatch, any of those devices to make it harder for a scammer or a thief to get into your device. Shop and enter your sensitive information only on sites that have that HTTPS because that S represents secure. Alerts, direct deposit, and e-payments. So you can sign up for account alerts on your at your financial institution. So you have the opportunity to receive notifications about suspicious activity, or it could be every time you make a purchase. These alerts can be sent via email, text message, or mobile notifications. Some of these notifications are immediate. So, for example, one of my credit cards, I get a text every time I make a transaction. This allows you to specify in certain scenarios. Excuse me. This allows you to specify in certain scenarios, like if I'm sitting here and I'm getting a ding on my phone for my credit card, I know that someone is using my card without my authorization. Other times you can have it set up where maybe you only get an alert if someone spends $200 or more to reduce any false alarms. Use bill pay whenever possible. So just pay the company directly through your account or auto pay. And then also use direct deposit for things like paychecks, Social Security payments, and tax refunds. This is the safest way to get your paychecks and tax refunds. You can also oftentimes get them faster than if you have it physically in the mail or by check. Card controls can be very helpful. This example here allows our members to turn off their cards, whether it's credit or debit, from the online app, which can be really convenient. And this does happen in real time. So if you're out shopping, your card's turned off and you're like, oh, I need to make a purchase, you can just change the toggle to have your card on, make the transaction, and then turn it off again if you'd like. So avoid getting scammed. Do not share your online or mobile banking password or login with anyone, even if it's someone that you trust or it's a family member or a friend. Do not share your online banking information with anyone. Do not share your social security number or PIN, and then don't call the number back on your caller ID. As I said, that could be a number masking scenario where they are showing that it's coming from a reliable institution when in fact it's a scammer on the other end. Always look up the number on the website or on the back of your debit or credit card. Opting out of pre-screened offers and adding alerts and freezes. So I'm sure many of us have received those things in the mail from credit card companies where it says, you've been pre-approved for this credit card. You are able to opt out of receiving those at optoutprescreen.com for either 5 years or permanently. This could just help reduce the chance of anyone opening up a credit card in your name if your mail were to be stolen. You can also consider adding a security freeze or fraud alert on your credit reports. Credit bureaus will provide these two means of protection: fraud alerts and freezes. Please note that alerts and freezes do not negatively impact your score in any way, and oftentimes they are either completely free or very low cost to add. So fraud alerts, we'll start here first. Fraud alerts tell a potential creditor that you're keeping an eye out for fraud and provides a phone number so that they can call you and verify your identity. One thing to note is that calling is optional. It is the creditor's choice to decide whether to call this phone number or not. So they can be really helpful, but as I mentioned, it's the creditor's choice. So there's no 100% guarantee they will call to verify. You can set up a 90-day fraud alert with all 3 of the credit bureaus by just calling one of them. So the 3 credit bureaus are Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. You just have to call one and it will set up a 90-day fraud alert for all 3. Fraud alerts are completely free. There is no cost to add one. And there is an extended fraud alert for 7 years in duration for identity theft victims. This can be really helpful. I highly recommend taking advantage of this if you have been a victim of identity theft, just to ensure that hopefully the creditor will call to verify your identity before opening any new loans. Security freezes. These ones are a little bit stricter than fraud alerts. So a security freeze will prohibit a credit bureau from releasing information from your credit report without your prior written authorization, making it much more difficult for unauthorized people to open up accounts in your name. Basically, a security freeze locks down the ability for anyone, including yourself, to take out credit in your name until you unfreeze your credit by unlocking it, either by a temporary lift or a permanent removal, your choice, with a 10-digit PIN. So when you freeze your credit report, you will receive a 10-digit PIN, and it is very, very important to keep a hold of this PIN and know what it is so you can unlock your credit. If your credit files are frozen, even someone who has your name and social security number will not be able to get credit in your name. One thing to note is to set up a full freeze, you must contact each of the 3 bureaus individually. So you have to make 3 separate phone calls, one to Experian, one to TransUnion, and one to Equifax. Taxes and social security numbers. Always respond quickly to legit notices from the IRS. That would be if they reached out to you by physical mail. If someone has used your social security number on a tax return, contact the IRS's Special ID Theft Protection Unit. There is a 1-800 number there for that as well. File your taxes as early as possible to minimize the likelihood of tax fraud. If you get your tax return in and someone else tries to come in and apply for one in your name, the government will be able to see that you've already sent in your tax refund, therefore denying that scammer of putting in a tax refund in your name. And always secure your social security number. Someone's asking for your social, ask yourself, why do they need this? How is it going to be used? And how are they going to protect it? So this is a little bit on that identitytheft.gov website. This is a great resource to help you report identity theft step by step, which can feel very overwhelming. So basically, you'll tell identitytheft.gov what happened. So we'll ask you some questions about your situation. They will give you a personalized recovery plan to help you put a few steps into action. And then they will give you a checklist of things to do. So when you choose Get Started on the homepage, you'll answer questions about your situation. The site is designed primarily to report identity theft, but you can also get specific advice about related situations like having your information exposed in a data breach or losing your wallet, for example. Each situation is very unique, so they've developed a tailored recovery plan for more than 30 different types of identity theft. After you provide the specific details about your situation, the system will create an identity theft affidavit for you. This is your official statement about what happened to you in your situation. The system was designed with security in mind, so it only collects the information it needs. You'll enter your social security and driver's license numbers by hand after you print out your affidavit. Next, you'll get your personal recovery plan, which provides step-by-step checklists to guide you through the process. As your situation changes, your recovery plan will adapt with you. For example, if calling the business doesn't solve the problem, the system will suggest the next step, like sending a follow-up letter. If you find a new fraudulent account, you can update your information and your recovery plan will update too. Never before has an identity theft victim had such a dynamic resource, and the entire system is available in Spanish as well. If your information was compromised, but you haven't seen any signs of identity theft yet, there's a section of steps you can take to reduce the likelihood you'll experience identity theft, and you'll select what applies to you. So for example, here's what you do if your social security number is compromised in a data breach or your wallet's been stolen with the card inside. As I mentioned earlier, please, please, please do not carry or write down your social security number and keep it in your wallet. In these examples, here's what you would do if your debit card or your banking account information was compromised. So they'll want you to contact your bank or credit union directly, review your transactions. If you have automatic payments, update them with your new card. or account information. And then check your credit report at annualcreditreport.com for any new accounts in your name. Let's say your online login or password was compromised. This is a common one. Oftentimes, this information would be exposed in a data breach. You'll want to log in there and change your password. If possible, even change your username. And then if you use that password elsewhere, you're going to want to change that too. Like I said, scammers, if they get your information on one site, they will try it on another. And lastly, identity theft can happen to minors. Nothing should appear on the credit report of a person under 18, but it's not uncommon. I highly recommend pulling your child's credit report. If nothing shows up or a system says no file found, that's great, and that's how it's supposed to be. We once did a financial coaching with a woman whose 3-month-old baby had $30,000 in unpaid credit card debt. We all know that 3-month-old was not out shopping at Cherry Creek Mall, so it was rather easy to get that information removed from the credit report. But one thing to look out for is they can come after children's personal information as well. A few resources as we wrap up our Protecting Your Identity class today. You can schedule a free one-on-one financial coaching at myzing.com/coaching. We can go over many ways for identity protection. We can go through your credit report, you name it. We have our e-learning courses available in English and Spanish that will go further into depth on protecting your identity and other courses. And then we do have other recorded classes over credit, home buying, wills and trusts, and more at myzing.com/recordings. Thank you again for listening to today's Protecting Your Identity and Avoiding Scams class, and have a great day.